Welcome to Bark Banter, where we talk about dog trainer drama and dog training and try to be funny sometimes. I'm Skyler Gingrich. And I own Redemption Dog Training in Denver, Colorado. And this is Macey.
Hi, my name is Macey Frige. I own and operate BossDog Canine Dog Training in Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana. Yeah. And obviously what we're doing today is we're talking about training tools.
Yep.
And where we use them and why.
Yep. Macey has on a prong collar. I have on an e-collar. And we are going to tell people why we use them. And we are also going to demonstrate some things on ourselves. So you did not stumble into the wrong podcast. This is actually a dog trainer podcast. All right. I guess I go first on drama this week.
So yeah, I went first last time.
Yeah. Actually, the drama I have is actually something that you posted that a bunch of people got upset about. And it goes in perfectly with this episode. So let's talk about it, Macey. You posted a thing. Oh, I did.
Wonderful.
Yep. I read all of it. I did not participate, so I'm just gonna put that out here. But so Macey posted a thing about harnesses and front clip harnesses.
To be fair, I did not make this meme.
No. Macey just shares things that are informational on her personal Facebook page. I want to say this. It's on her personal Facebook page, not her business Facebook page, which is different. She posted this to her personal Facebook page, and it said something about front clip harnesses not being super great for dogs, and some people got upset at you.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about it. So I was pretty flabbergasted the way people talk to you on your personal Facebook page. Like, I feel like that's kind of unacceptable.
Fair, I feel like the one that probably upset you the most, she comments on my stuff all the time, and typically it is a little bit more mild, but I have noticed over the past few months, if I've posted something that really gets under her skin, she's been getting a little bit more and more irritated and more out there with how she felt about it.
Okay. Well, this person very specifically said that front clip harnesses are the safest tool for owners who don't know what they're doing and don't have any kind of professional training. And I want to say, meh. I mean, I would rather an owner use a well-fitting front clip harness rather than go to either one of the tools that you or I are wearing without professional help. But I have examples. So,
are you putting them on?
I'm not putting them on. I mean, I have a dog behind me. I could put them on one of them. This is a good front clip harness in my opinion. I know that people will disagree with this, but it fits him well. And this is the front clip, so it doesn't get, so basically, see, I could still use my shoulders.
I would say a front clip harness like that, I've seen a lot of dogs escape from. So if you have an escape artist, we wouldn't be using those.
I would say all harnesses I have seen dogs escape from. So yes, that is a caveat on this. I will say that this one, everybody's seen it. It is an easy walk harness. You clip the dog here. This goes under their middle. These, your dog will escape from 150%. Because I have seen way too many dogs do that because it is almost impossible to fit them correctly. But this is what most people use because it's called an easy walk harness. And
the name gets a lot of people.
Yep. The other thing about this is if you put it on, right, it actually is supposed to be designed to go over the shoulders of the dog like this. And it actually keeps them from getting that full shoulder movement.
I personally have seen, and a little bit of research into people's personal posts about or personal beliefs about the easy walk harness or front clip harnesses in general.
Mhm.
And from what I've found is there's a few dogs out there, or a lot of dogs out there, for all we know. I think it's something that needs to be researched more on long-term effects that aren't developing properly and or developing in a way that is to help reduce some of the issues that the front clip harness is causing their body. I feel like their body's overcompensating in some areas to help balance where it's putting all those pressures.
Mhm.
Um, and there's been a few accounts that I've seen of people talking badly about the front clip harness and how it has caused arthritis in their dogs, long-term use, not short-term use. So, I mean, that's kind of where I don't recommend this is the safest option. I mean, it might be safest for like somebody that gets pulled down by their dog every day. It might be, a safer option for somebody who gets pulled down by their dog every day that doesn't have the capabilities to get to a dog trainer immediately. However, I would not say that it is a good everyday, all day use for long term use. I think long
I
term is where
definitely agree with
people
that.
were not. I think long term is where people are getting issues with the front clip harnesses.
I will say, so I used to be a dog walker, and I did recommend a front clip harness, an easy walk harness specifically for a client of mine, and she very quickly developed a limp in
Mm-hmm.
one of her like shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
and ever since that day I have never used them.
Gotcha.
I feel like
Uh,
it was like a week into her using it, and it wasn't every day, it was literally just for walks, and she developed a limp very quickly. Now,
mm-hmm.
she was a bully, so she had big muscles, and they were being, like
Mm-hmm.
trapped. So, I haven't used one
Yeah.
since that. It's probably been 10 years.
Wow. So we'll get into the different types of things we use here in a little bit
Mhm.
and why we don't use those things as well. You're talking about drama, so go ahead and explain to the viewers and listeners what that drama was for this week.
Well, I already did. I mean, you made somebody mad who decided that what you were posting was, I believe she said, wildly inaccurate were her actual words. But yeah, and I
He
think
said
I
it
think
was
that the
misleading. It
what?
was wildly misleading.
Yeah, that's what it was. Wildly misleading. I think she wasn't like 100% incorrect because it just said harnesses.
Yeah.
And I do believe that a well-fit front clip harness can be a good option for a person.
Yeah, and that's where
Um,
another trainer that is, of the same realm as her, posted the and her words was the only recommended front clip harness that is fitted appropriately.
I just want to like put it out there that like they have to be able to use that shoulder. Like the full rotation of their shoulder is the most important thing. What
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these things are causing is that arthritis is like issues in development if they're wearing them all of the time because they cannot fully rotate that shoulder and it will cause issues especially if they're still growing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen it. I sent Macey some pictures. I can't share them, but
Yeah, I mean you're not the only one.
it is proof. There's proof.
There, like on that particular post where I made people angry, there was also other dog trainers that were angry about the angry post.
Mhm.
That very much gave their own 2 cents about why they don't like front clip harnesses and why they don't recommend them. And one of them in particular used to be like work as a vet tech or work at a vet, and she would see actual x-rays of this. I did ask her if I could have some of those x-rays, but unfortunately she doesn't work there anymore. She's now a
Yep.
full-fledged dog trainer, so she doesn't have access to those exact x-rays. But the thing is, they're out there, people.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not something that had enough time when it came about to really research into. Like, there was no long-term effects researching into that. And that's, if you listen to our last podcast, we talked about how dog training is very unregulated.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It is very unregulated. And we'd also talked about how I mentioned how the scientific studies that are out there, a lot of them are very flawed. They don't have like very good controls that are realistic in dog training.
Right. Right.
And so, I mean, that's kind of where, like, I do think that the use of a properly fitting front clip harness, or even like the ill-fitting front clip harnesses, needs to be very much looked more into and researched more than what they have been.
And we can say that about all tools. Like it doesn't matter which tool we're talking about. I just picked this one because you posted about it and made people mad. But it can be all tools. Any tool that is improperly fit and improperly used is going to cause issues. Tools are tools for a reason, and they're there to help you. They're not there to train the dog for you.
No, that's a big one. A lot of people think that if they just grab any tool, it'll fix the problem.
Yep.
That's not how it works. So, alrighty.
So do you have anything?
So I guess my drama for this week is it's something that got viral really fast, but I also feel like it's something that did not get a lot of interviews on. There's not like a lot of background to really double check this information. So I don't really have much going off of it. It's more so just a PSA for people out there. So the CEO of the ASPCA, the organization that puts out all of those really sad videos of animals.
Sarah McLachlan videos.
Yeah, that make you very emotional, and they ask you to donate to avoid all these things. The CEO apparently, according to, was it tax returns from last year? And this is the only proof that's out there, by the way. There's not anything, there's nothing else looking into this. That he makes $1 million a year off of being the CEO of the ASPCA, which I have conflicting feelings about. My thing is, like, everybody's freaking out, like, oh my god, you can use that and help so many other animals. There's, I think in New York City, the ASPCA is, what I found in my rabbit hole was that they're supposed to have free clinics up there for people that don't have enough money to pay for their animals' welfare. Mm-hmm. And they're like avoiding, like, they're not letting people come in to do that. They're actually also pulling out, I think, their cat rescues or something. But then people are harping on the fact that the CEO makes $1 million. If he makes $1 million a year, then why are they pulling back and saying they don't have enough money to uphold these facilities and offer free vet care to people that care and love for the animals, but do not have the money to handle emergencies and sick things? Maybe they can handle, like, decent dog food, decent cat food, and, like, your general stuff, but, like, your emergency vet bills, they get pretty expensive. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of where all this kind of rabbit holes started kind of leading me. There was no true evidence and research that somebody did. But it leads to a question, like, is it worth giving money to them every month for these people that have subscriptions with them for volunteer work? Because where's all that money going to? I found on the internet that they said somewheres that for every dollar you give, 77 cents goes towards the actual facility and care and animals, and the rest goes to pay for their staff. But I mean, if they have, I think they had like 6 people on their payroll that's making 6 figures. It was either 6 or 7 people on their payroll, something like that, that's making 6 figures. We're either giving them way too much money, or that's a lie, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it doesn't math to me. So
yeah, what is math?
That doesn't math to me for sure.
No.
Also, now, I am of the opinion that, I feel like 6 figures is a wide range, right?
Mm-hmm.
$1 million.
That's a
That's
lot.
I feel like that's too much. I mean,
Yeah.
you'd only have to be what CEO of the ASPCA 5 years, and then you could live forever.
Lavishly. And I think
Forever.
he's been in the AC, been the CEO for like what was it, 11 years, 7 years,
Holy
something.
crap.
It was a big number of years. But anyways,
You want to hire me, ASPCA? I will.
mhm.
I'll do
We'll
it
train
for.
all of your dogs,
I'll do it for like a third of that price.
right? You can be putting out really good, well-behaved dogs if you
I
just use some of that money to pay for dog trainers.
I mean, there's that. There's also like I'll do it for a third of the price, and I promise you, I'll save you money. Like
Mhm.
all you have to do is hire me. I'll be your CEO.
Yeah, if you hired a bunch of dog trainers to run your organization, you would have dogs that actually stayed in homes.
That's a whole nother topic.
I'm
Um,
just saying. But so then goes down to like the rabbit hole of like what 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 do you think is a reasonable sum that somebody should be making yearly for working for a nonprofit? Because the thing is, nonprofits like all these little rescues that do it for free, they're very mad about this. And I get that, but also from a business aspect, for something to keep rolling and have good outcomes, it does need to be making money that actually pays for people that work there full time.
yeah,
Now, do I think that the CEO is putting in enough hours and work and all the things that somebody does when they work for something to make $1 million? No. I don't think so. If he did, then I think I would know who he is personally. Besides $1 million Matt, I feel like he'd be out there a lot more and not just getting awards at his little big looking banquet that he has pictures of.
I
You know,
mean, did he give himself the award?
I don't know. Did
That's a
he?
real
Oh my
question.
god.
I'd
That's what
give
I'm saying.
myself if I made $1 million a year, I would give myself all the awards. I would have all of the letters after my name,
Mhm. I'd be
and I
like,
would
I deserve all this.
absolutely. I would give myself all the awards. I'd have all the letters after my name, and I would probably become something akin to Elon Musk and be like, "We're gonna go to Mars."
Mhm. Right.
So I will. Obviously, I'm
But
not in any danger of making $1 million anytime soon, but we'll see.
But I mean, yes. I mean, like, what is he doing to be making $1 million? Is he doing that work? Is he putting all that at that out there? I think what was the number that we gave for like a good salary that somebody should be able to not live lavishly, but should be able to live comfortably and not worry and have a nice life.
I think it depends on where you live, because
It does.
where you live versus where I live, it's a whole different thing.
Dude, if somebody's making $60,000, $90,000 a year down here, they're fucking making it, bro. Like,
I wish.
yeah, like that's a thing. Like, a lot, I mean, if you're making $3,000 a month, you're fucking making bank. Like, that's a big thing down here. But
Gotta
if I was
barely
to
pay for
go
my
somewhere
mortgage.
else, wow. But if we were to go somewhere else, that's not it. You know?
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the thing is, and especially I'm not gonna say like nobody should make $1 million in their company or
Yeah.
whatever. Like I that's ridiculous. But what I am saying is an animal company who specifically is talking about like give to the animals. All we do is give to the animals, and they
Yeah,
are
they're a
deducting
nonprofit.
all of these things.
The thing
Like
is, they're
their
not
CEO should
selling
not
any
be making $1
product.
million. Yeah.
No, they're not selling products. They're not giving out services outside of taking animals in, housing them, and then rehoming them, which is what most shelters and rescues do for free.
Mhm.
For free. So, I mean, all they're doing is asking people for money, and people are feeling emotional about these pictures and videos that they're putting out there. And I'm not saying the ASPCA doesn't do good work,
Mhm.
but when I was 10 and watching the ASPCA, like, versus seeing them now, like, I feel like they did so much better good work out there when I was younger.
Yep.
And I wanted to work for them at some point. I
Yep.
really did. I wanted to be one of their cops. You know,
Yeah, I
ASPCA,
no, I
right?
did too. I did too because I watched that show on Animal Planet.
Yeah, exactly. I grew up watching that.
Yeah.
So I mean, but figuring out what I know now and hearing what I know now, I mean, it's kind of not cool, you know? Um, Even if he just took half of that and went and did more for the animals, he would still be making so much money to live a wonderful fucking life.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't need $1 million in the bank. He doesn't need to be making $1 million a year.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
that's fucking ridiculous. Especially just for being the CEO of a nonprofit. Something that people are giving money to out of the kindness of their hearts. Off of sad animal videos. Not something that they are actively working for. Like Elon Musk, you know, we talk about him. He's a millionaire. He's a billionaire. Whatever. He does a service. He invented something that gives people better lifestyles.
Wait,
He deserves
he didn't invent anything. He hired a
Oh.
bunch of people who invented things.
But
Let's
that's the
not give
thing, he's
him
a businessman.
all of the credit.
No, he doesn't get all the credit. But you get what I'm saying? Like, he owns a company
Yeah.
that is not a nonprofit.
Well, I was gonna say people know that companies who are working towards a capital are trying to make money. And there's a whole like debate about whether or not their CEO should be making $1 million. And I don't want to get into that debate, but companies that are branded as a nonprofit and saying that 74% of your dollar goes to the animals.
If he took $10,000 of that and gave it to like little struggling shelters out there, do you know how much that would change their quality of care for the dogs? Like,
yeah,
that would really set them up right. Just $10,000. That's it. Like, that's a lot of money for somebody who don't make anything and they're doing it for free.
Yeah. I mean, all of the shelters in most of the places are struggling right now. They could all use the money. Like, anyways, our topic for today is training tools, and why we use them. And I have a very obnoxious German Shepherd just like in my space right now. So, training tools, how, why, when, where we use them. Macey, are there any training tools that you do not use?
Front clip harnesses.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't particularly use halties or head harnesses. But I will say if I came across that, I have used them before. Which is probably why I don't like using them. However, if I really had I had a client recently who she had a volunteer service dog for a nonprofit organization that she was raising, and she was required to use one, so we used it. It's not that I don't use them; it's just not my favorite.
Okay.
I don't really like how dogs typically don't like them. I don't really like how if a dog really wanted to push hard enough, they could really hurt themselves. You know, on that halty, throwing their head around like that. I would probably have to say, I used to be a big advocate as a baby trainer for what people consider choke chains. I called them slip chains because it sounded better. Again, terminology, right? Whatever you call it. But I don't like using them now. I feel like I feel like it has a lot of emotions when you put your body into it, and I feel like that can create a feeling when you're trying to correct a dog, and I don't like that. And something that, again, when I was younger and I didn't know how to understand what I was feeling whenever these situations are happening and it wasn't working for the dog, you know, that's one of the things that I was at the time taught, that you yank and crank harder. To get instead of switching to another tool. So, I mean, I don't use those. Trying to think what else. I don't know. There's a lot of tools out there that I don't really use. I don't use shitty prong collars. I use good prong collars.
That's a whole different debate. we can't get this deep into it, or else we're gonna have to do 5 episodes.
That's true. But I mean, we
Yeah.
should. People want to
Do
know.
5 episodes?
Do 5 episodes. Let's
Not
do
today, we're not.
it. Yeah, I'm tired.
So for me, I don't use head harnesses a lot, but I have been using them more now that
Okay.
I have sidekicks, which I like a lot.
Mhm.
I never actually learned how to use a choke chain
Mhm.
or any kind of slip collar.
Mhm.
I just don't know how to use them. We were sort of kind of given a rundown when we went to school, but I don't actually know how to use them, and I have no interest in using them because there are
I
so many other tools out
I
there.
think when we went to school, he more so was like, "This is why. This is what this is, and this is why we don't use them."
I mean, he kind of gave us a demonstration of like this is how you use it, the like P and the 9 thing.
Yeah, like there's a certain way that it's supposed to lay.
It's too much for my brain, and there are other tools out there that I prefer anyways, and I can use, and I have no reason to use them.
Yeah.
So
Pretty
I
much.
don't use slip chains, slip collars, any kind of that thing. I obviously don't use easy walk harnesses, but I will use a front clip harness depending on generally the age of the dog. If it's pretty young and we can get them in a nice place, I'll allow a front clip harness.
Okay.
Otherwise, I am open to mostly everything. Like I use all kinds of things in my training,
Yeah. You're
and
definitely
I
a lot
have a
more
whole bunch of them.
versatile. You're definitely a lot more versatile than what I am. I do try to stick to what I know best.
Mhm.
Um and I if I have to use different training styles with that one tool, I will. It's very rarely that I will move to a different one. I will say, I mean, we have a slew of them to go over.
Yeah, yep, we do. So what is your favorite training tool? Is it the
A
one around
clicker?
your neck?
No.
Oh, damn.
Clickers and treats. Treats are my favorite tools.
Yeah,
To be honest, yeah, I
I
love
don't
treats.
consider a treat a tool.
The way that I use it, I feel like I do.
Okay, explain.
Um, because I tend to use it to place the dog in a certain position, the same way that I would use a tool. So to me, treats are tools, and it's a tool
Okay,
in your belt. It's
cool.
not just a reward, and it's not something to bribe your dog to go into a certain position.
Hmm. I
So
like it.
therefore, I just started that mindset, by the way, but last year. I find explaining that to my clients makes things a lot easier because if you start giving them 3 different tools to use, they pick and choose which ones they want to use, and they don't use everything as they should. It's not like one or the other. You should use if you. For me, I have 3 different tools for 3 different levels. Basically, I have your treats, I have your prong collars or slip leads or whatever it may be for an on leash correction collar, and then I have my e-collars.
Mhm.
And I find that those are 3 solid tools in your tool belt that you should use for various different reasons.
Okay.
So that's
So
why I
tell us
consider
about
treats
clickers.
tools. Clickers? Oh, clickers are wonderful. I do not use clickers for my pet dogs. Instead, I use my voice and I say yes. I am
Yep.
a dog trainer that says yes for everything. That is my marker. So markers for the people that don't know. Uh, Basically, your dog's going to associate treat with marker, and marker will help you build up that dog and use less treats eventually, if used appropriately. Clickers, something about clickers just works different in a dog's brain. Um, I think it's because it's sharper, it's faster, it's more attention getting,
It's a
and I
very
think it's
distinct
fun.
sound.
It is a very distinct sound. I find that dogs find it fun, which means they really enjoy their job. So I typically use clickers for working dogs. I don't really use them for pets just because my clients get very jumbled with their hands. They're not a very distinguished dog trainer. That's why they're with us. So therefore, they're not going to be comfortable holding the leash, holding treats, holding a clicker, So, I mean, all at one time. A treat pouch, like it's just a lot. So
Yeah.
if I could take one tool down and something that you already have and like within you, like your voice, then I'm going to do that. So that's why with because when I worked at PetSmart, we used clickers for everything. But whenever I started working on my own and I realized that I really liked the word yes and I really liked using that vocal as a marker for my pet dogs, that's what we started doing. Now, again, where do I use clickers? Service dogs a lot. Yeah. Tricks. Really hard things. Really hard things. Things that aren't your typical sit, down, stay, place basics that a dog needs. But if you need a more advanced dog, go with your clicker.
Yeah. I also find that certain reactive dogs do better with clickers.
Really?
Because it is such a distinct sound.
Mm-hmm. No, your clicker is not an attention getter. I know I said that verb wording earlier, but that does not mean click, 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 click. Look at me. Yes. Don't do that. Don't use it to call your dog.
One time.
Hmm?
Met a lady who did that one time.
Oh, please tell. I think I know the story, but tell the viewers.
I was training a dog, and a lady said that her dog was a service dog. She was going to an online service dog certification, which we will go into service dogs one of these days. There's a whole bunch of red flags in all of those statements.
Vote for it on the poll. Go to the poll on Facebook and vote for it.
Yeah. Anyways, this lady said her dog was a service dog, and she was trying to show me like what her dog knew in the stuff. I wasn't training this dog, by the way. She just wanted to show me what her dog knew. And she goes, "This is how I get him ready." And she double clicked her clicker and did nothing. And she was like, "That is how we start all of our outings." And I said, "What?" Because that's not how I use clickers. That's not how Macey uses clickers.
Not how they're meant to be used.
I don't know that there's 1,000,005 ways to do things, and maybe that is somebody's way to do it. But I was not impressed by this service dog.
My aunt this week, she has a litter of puppies. We just got one for a service dog from her. And if anybody's interested, we will be posting about Percy, the little service dog Golden. That will be, we'll talk about that on our service dog things. We might have some fundraisers coming up if you want to support somebody with a disability that is in need of a service dog. They're very expensive. And
if you want to watch all of the super cool things about service dogs, follow Macey's business page, BossDog Canine_dog training. Watching these little service dogs grow up is really fun.
But I had to give her a little correction and tell her that might not be the best way to do that. She basically was taking the clicker, pointing into the dog kennel and clicking, and then they'd go in, and then she'd reward. And I was like, so that's not how that works. And I kind of gave her just a quick rundown. I didn't want to harp on it too much. We talked about it a little bit. Not my rodeo, I guess you'd say, just as an observer, and I love her very much, and she's a wonderful dog person and a dog mom. So I just wanted to give her a little tidbit of, hey, there's a better way of doing that. And she's great. So, but yeah, so that's what happened this week with the clicker for me.
Nice.
Yeah. But yes, it is not an attention getter. It is a marker. So basically what's going to happen is your dog does something for you that you want first, and then you click and treat immediately. It is not an attention getter. You don't click, dog looks at you, then you treat.
That is not the only way to use a clicker, though.
No,
you can use it as a duration marker.
Oh, I do that too. I just was given a basic rundown.
Okay, I was going to say, because we do have dog trainers who listen to this, and we are going to get attacked.
Oh,
but,
God.
But there's a million ways to do everything, and as long as it works, and the owner can also replicate that, it works. And I'm not judging the way that you use your training tools unless they are.
This is how we use ours, and when we
in an active way to actively harm or abuse a dog. So
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so duration. So I do use it for duration. After a dog, I just already understands what the clicker means. Just to hold that spot. I'm actually doing that with Force Fetch right now with a service dog. And some people might come at me like, oh my god, force fetch. Look, I'm trying something. I'm doing a little bit of what I know from my hunting dog days, and I'm doing a little bit of what I know nowadays. I'm putting it together. We're working on it. We're seeing what's going to happen. So, but we're basically mixing force fetch and clicker training together. And I actually, I'm not going to lie, I really like the results.
Sounds interesting.
I can send you some videos.
All right. Let's see. My favorite training tool is actually a prong collar.
Okay.
Now, I do not use prong collars. I shouldn't say I don't use prong collars in a regular way. I do use prong collars in a corrective sense occasionally.
Okay.
But generally, when I use a prong collar, it is to teach the dog pressure on, pressure off, and how to deal with that. And I feel like prong collar generally, for most dogs, can be done in a way with incredible amounts of finesse and in a way that is incredibly fair to the dog, that
Absolutely.
helps them understand really quickly and also does not cause like psychological harm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where a lot of people get squirrely about the prong collar. They see the prong collar, they see a correction, and they think that it is the worst thing in the world for the dog, and that the dog is being harmed psychologically. But the thing is, there's been so many. I've had nervy dogs, scared dogs, dogs that are scared of life, build confidence off of a prong collar.
Yeah.
Just because it gave them clear communication and direction, which is what it's supposed to be for.
Yeah.
It's not a tool that is supposed to just be correcting the shit out of dogs, off of them like some unnecessary quote trainers do it on.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think that the prong collar, actually, I mean, the prong collar is not the most finesse. The e-collar has the most aptitude to have the most finesse to it. But
I do like some good e-collar training.
I find the e-collars are really hard for owners to figure out.
Okay.
I find it is really, really hard for an owner to figure out how to use an e-collar. And so I don't do a ton of e-collar training with my clients. I do some, but yeah, I find that it is really hard for dog owners to
So I
learn how
can
to use an
concur with
e-collar.
that. I can concur with that. I do think it is probably one of the hardest levels that one of like my clients can learn, but that's also why it's the last thing I teach. That way they learn about timing first, they learn about how to use their treats first and rewards first. They learn what corrections are and what different levels of corrections are first, and then we get into e-collar training. I don't think there's ever been a point in my life where I just handed a person an e-collar and said, go have fun.
That would be horrible. We know people who do that.
So bad. I know there's dog trainers out there that do that. Like, bro, you need to go educate your people. They don't think like we do.
Yeah.
Like, they don't understand how dogs work like we do. That's why they came to you. Go educate them.
Even
Go
most
train your
dog trainers, need a ton of practice before they can understand the actual nuances behind an e-collar. I find that prong collars are the easiest for people and the easiest for dogs, like as far as the transition goes.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think that as well. Like, once I start doing e-collar work, or not e-collar, sorry, prong collar work with a client, they're like, wow, this is great.
Right.
Like,
And it's it's easier to transfer over versus an e-collar, which is harder but does have more nuance to it. It just takes a lot more time to learn.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely believe in that. Yeah, so I would probably have to say, like, again, my next two is the prong collar and e-collar. Like, those are the ones I use the most. Why do I use them? Well, I don't use them until the dog already understands what is expected of them. And then after that, it's more of a clearer line of communication, meaning that instead of just saying yes and telling the dog what I want them to do and ignoring the other behaviors, which I've already done that at this point. It's not something that I always just jump to. Like, I don't just make that jump from like yes and no. Once I'm ready to start telling the dog clearly what no means, I'll start using a prong collar or a slip lead or a martingale or a plastic prong collar. Again, these are all different tools that can give the same thing, but have different levels of, in my opinion, they have different levels of pressure. And that's what makes them different. Now, I will say some people might say something differently about how these different tools are used. Just depends on what
Absolutely.
type of trainer you are and how you're going to use them.
Yeah, and it definitely depends on the trainer and on how. I mean, obviously our emotions matter in this aspect. If you don't feel comfortable using these tools, then I don't use them. It's totally
Absolutely.
fine. But we are running low on time. I told you we needed to do 2 episodes. So, real quick, we're going to go through. I'm going to pick up a tool. You're going to tell me what it is and how and or why you would use it.
Is that just a slip lead, or is that?
It is. It's just a slip lead.
Just a regular slip lead?
Yep.
Okay, so I use these when we get new dogs in. Safety is a big thing for me. If I have a dog who's been known for slipping out of a collar, and most pet parents will put their collars way too loose on their dogs. And then I will come across working dog people who put their collars way too tight on their dogs. But I typically would use this for safety, just to transport a dog from one place to another, or to even put them, like, go let them out to go potty. Especially if I don't know this dog. That's what's going on. Or aggressive dogs. Those are a lot easier to get on an aggressive dog through a kennel than prong collar to do work, or e-collar, or things like that. So usually those will go on the dogs first. I will get them out, and then I will work with them on getting comfortable putting these tools on.
Yeah, I definitely find that slip leads are really great if you can't get your hands near a dog right at the beginning, and they're really useful for that. Also, for dogs who are a little bit more sensitive to pressure, I find that they can be very, very
I like
useful.
My thinner, so that's kind of where so my thicker ones that, sorry, not ones, my thicker just erase all this shit. My thicker slip leads, I find that I don't have very much success with giving proper, timely corrections, but my thinner slip leads for a dog who cannot handle a lot of pressure, I find that they fit properly, they stay where they're supposed to, and I find that they give a very good timing whenever you're adding your corrections in or communications.
Right. And just for the record, what are slip leads designed to do? Said, what are slip leads designed to do?
What do you mean?
Are they designed to choke out a dog?
No. Oh, no. Well, they're not designed to do that. That's for damn sure. I was like, what is the context of the question? Like, what do you mean? I just explained what I use them for.
Yes.
No, they are not used to choke out a dog. If your dog is choking themselves out on a slip lead, you need to change to a different tool, bro.
Absolutely. None of the tools designed on this planet are designed to choke out a dog. No. I just want to put that out there. None of the tools in the world are designed to specifically choke out a dog.
Yeah, I mean,
including choke chains. This is a pressure release thing, and it is every single one of these tools is pressure and release, not choking out dogs. This is not what any of these tools are meant for.
No, I mean, and that's how you ruin tracheas. That's why there's trachea collapse outside of like actual medical reasons. If it's from a tool, it's because somebody did not put it on correctly.
Or they let their dog pull into it.
Or they let their dog pull into it and damage their own trachea, because dogs do not have any survival skills.
I mean, some.
Some of them do. But the ones who harm themselves, they don't understand that they are harming themselves.
All right, and then I have martingale collars.
Martingale collars. Those are the same things that I would be using as prong collars. They just apply a lot less pressure. They're closer to your flat collars as far as pressure they apply, which also means if you have a very hard dog that doesn't care about pressure, then your martingales aren't going to do anything for you. But if you have a very, very, very sensitive dog, then your martingales are probably the way to go.
I will put out there, all of my dogs wear martingales as their daily wear collars.
Really? Okay.
Yes. For the simple fact that if my dog ever gets out, as I've said, if I'm probably dead, and somebody has to actually put a leash on them and is capable of putting a leash on them. If my dog gets scared of that person and tries to back out of their collar with a martingale, they're a million times less likely to do that. Lucifer, get out of the plant.
Yeah, that is another thing that I recommend martingales for. If your dog is a dog that tends to back out of their collar because they know they can, there's dogs like that out there. If you have one, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't have one, you're lucky, because those are probably one of the most annoying dogs that could probably come to training, is a dog who knows how to get out of a collar by backing up. Your martingales and your slip leads are the way to go. Don't put a regular collar on that dog and clip to it, because that dog's going to run and bolt.
Yeah, and that's why my dogs wear them as their daily wear collars, because, I don't know, some random person may try and put a leash on them at some point, and they may be afraid of that person.
Never thought of that.
Yep.
Next point.
Yep. So I have all of the head harnesses.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, so this is a Halti.
Okay.
But this is like, I think, the old version of like what Halti used to be. The new ones don't look like that. But I have Haltis. I have a gentle leader down here. It's about to be like a loud podcast. I have a gentle leader, which they don't have the same front thing. Like, you can't clip it to their collar. And then I have my new favorite head harness, which is the Sidekick.
So before we get to the Sidekick, backtracking to the Halties and the head harness.
Gentle leader.
Gentle leaders. I am not a fan of these. I will say that I have used them for some dogs, and it just depends on the dog, and depends on the person, and depends on what they're comfortable with. I will say, if you have a very strong pulling dog, I do not recommend these, because dogs have been known to give themselves whiplash with these collars.
Yep.
And it's
if they're not properly introduced. If they're not properly introduced, if they don't learn what it means.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, all these tools that we're talking about, you got to properly introduce them. You can't just throw them on the dog and wait for something to happen.
Please don't do that. Please,
no.
It doesn't matter what tool you get. Like, just don't just throw it on your dog.
Yeah, you're going to get a dog that is scared. You're going to get a dog who is annoyed. You're going to get a dog who can get out of an escape and learn that they can, and makes your job so much harder. Don't just throw these on your dogs and go with it.
Yeah. I also don't use those other head harnesses. I've had them for probably 10 years. But yeah, I don't use them because they have all the pressure in the front. And like, it really does cause a very extreme reaction if your dog gets overly excited and like pulls forward. I will also say that Coconut, at the time in which I decided to get one of these because I was afraid of prong collars, learned to pull through it. So even with the way it is designed, where it's got the thing in the front and it's supposed to turn their head to the side, she learned to put her neck out in a way that she could just pull through it and pull forward.
Put her head down and push through.
Yeah. Yep.
Dogs are smart, guys. They want to do something, and you don't train them to not do it.
They will also do this with prong collars, for the record.
Okay.
If your dog is determined enough to do or get through something, they will do it. If you do not condition it properly. Obviously, I didn't know what I was doing with the head harness. Coconut learned how to pull through it, and I was like, this is garbage.
Same thing with like the front clip harnesses. Like,
yeah, they will pull through them.
I'm not a fan of them. I've seen more dogs than you believe pull through them, and it's because, I mean, if you give it to a trainer's going to teach the dog. But if you just hand that over to a client and they've never introduced it before, and you're just like, here, this is going to redirect them. And when they come back to you, reward. Right. That doesn't teach the dog not to pull, in my opinion.
Right.
So like they'll come back, they'll redirect. You don't have to all that wait to pull, and then they immediately go back up to the front. They don't learn past that. Some dogs, I find that if they don't pull on it ever, they're uncomfortable.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the Sidekick then. How do you feel about Sidekicks?
I'm brand new to Sidekicks. From what I've gathered, I do like them. Like I said, it was one of those things that's like, I haven't really found a dog that I would need it on yet. That's
Okay.
the thing. And when I say brand new, guys, I mean like I just got one in September, and it is January. And my dogs personally don't need them. So working with a client on it has been, kind of fun, trying to figure out what dog needs this type of thing. I did, however, have that service dog client that was on a Halti. I introduced her to a sidekick because I was like, this is the similar because you might need this because she was struggling with some things that wasn't going along with the curriculum she was supposed to be doing for her service dog program. Um, so I did transition her to that, although she only used it for a few different times, and then she went back to the Halti just because she felt that she was going to overstep some um, boundaries with the organization she was working with. So, which I abided by that. We did everything pure positive and just treats.
Yep.
But I also tried to get her to stop using the Halti a little bit, and start practicing using just her flat collar on some things as well.
Yep. That's the other thing about this, is I do encourage all of my clients to get off of tools. That
Yeah.
should be our goal in the future. Now I know that there are a lot of my clients who never do. They're on tools their whole life because it makes it easier. But I want everybody's goal to be to get off tools eventually.
See, that's kind of where I'm up in the air about.
Well, I was going to say I do have a couple exceptions to that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple exceptions to that. There are certain times where if you are 85 and you have a Great Dane, I'm sorry, but I would like you to use the prong collar forever.
Yeah, my thing is I find that clients want to get off of tools really, really fast,
Mhm.
and that's not how it works. What happens is you get a dog who's tool smart if you do that. I think it's more of a you got to use all the techniques that I am giving you, not just one for one.
Mhm.
But you also need to be flexible and using these tools very often for the dog to understand they can never go back to the same behaviors that they once had. So like I said, I'm fine if my clients use tools for the rest of their life with these
Yeah,
dogs.
I don't
find that it's
judge my clients if they use tools the rest of their lives. I'm just saying I prefer it, especially in the world that we live in where tool bans are a reality. I would rather that they work towards getting to the point where they don't necessarily need that tool,
I
just
think
in
being
case.
flexible with different tools is appropriate. Like that's kind of where like if you yes I gave you these tools, but there's other tools that are similar that have less pressure. Like I've changed tools on clients before years down the road just because
Yeah,
one thing wasn't working for them.
yeah.
It really just depends. So like I kind of correlate with what you're saying, but also, it kind
Yep,
of just depends.
that's fine.
Okay, so this is a dominant dog collar. I like them. They're designed by Learberg itself. But I will say that I haven't really quite figured it out completely just yet. Um, Basically, it's supposed to fit high up on the chin, up on the ears like a prong collar, and snug. There should not be any slack. You should be able this little ring right here. It should be as far as it goes, and that's all the slack you need. As long as you can clip it on, that's all you need. You don't need this much slack in it. This is where you clip your leash to, and so this
Right,
moves
that's
freely.
the opposite of what they were looking for when they designed that
Yeah.
tool.
Um.
Question about that. Did you buy that
Mhm.
from Learberg?
I did. I bought 3
Do
of them,
they
different sizes.
come in pre-made sizes now?
Yes. So they have sizes from like a few inches all the way up.
Okay, so this is I'm gonna date myself a little bit, but when I first learned about dominant dog collars, you had to actually like uh measure your dog's neck
Mm-hmm.
and they would custom make it for you.
Oh.
Like so it would be that perfect
Okay.
of an actual thing.
I asked them what was their 3 most popular sizes, and they sent them to me because I just said that I was new to using it, new to learning about it, and I would like
Mhm.
to just figure out how to use them. Um, they've came in handy with aggressive dogs for me.
Nice.
What they're used for, basically, they're more for that. More in the sense of I use them more as a safety tool, kind of the same thing that I use the slip leads for. I can, however, apply a pressure and bleach correction with this, unlike the slip leads we mostly use.
Yeah,
So,
those are way better because they don't move down.
yes. I also find that you can leave this on a dog that might be in a kennel for a few days and it not cause any pressure sores or damage. Whereas with other tools, you can't use that.
I agree with that.
So for certain dogs in certain situations, these are a safer option if I cannot put my hand in there and put a leash on them. And I could just clip and go.
Right.
You know? That's what I have used these for so far. Like I said, I'm still a fan of the prong collar. I feel like that's my go-to. I do, however, have a client coming in who worked with another trainer prior to this, and it was that sad sob story I told you on the last podcast. I think with their service dogs, I'm going to try and use one of these instead. That way it just makes them feel a little bit more comfortable.
I like it. So. All right. We only have a couple minutes left. So, are you going to go first? Or you want me to go first?
For what?
Are we going to show people what these feel like?
Oh.
Are we just wearing them as jewelry?
No, we're just wearing them. We're just, look at it. No, you can.
I mean, how do you feel? We've been recording for about an hour. Do you feel uncomfortable?
How do I feel?
Now,
I will say,
how does the prong collar feel?
That's what I'm getting in. I will say, it's comfortable. Like I can move in it. It doesn't really bother me. Yeah, it gets tight here and there, but it's not bad. Now, granted, I don't have fur. So what I find that might be slightly irritating is I am getting a little itchy right here. But if I had fur, I would like to try this on with a scarf and see if it's a difference. Because the thing is, as tight as they do go, they don't lay on a flat surface skin. But I will maybe like your thinner skinned haired dogs, there are a few breeds out there that are hairless. You know, that might be something to pay attention to. Maybe do the little rubber caps would probably be a little bit better. I don't have the rubber caps on this one. But that's something I'd like to experiment with. But yeah, sitting here for an hour, it's pretty comfortable for the most part. Now, correction-wise, I wonder how accurate.
I don't know how you're going to correct yourself. You should have brought Josh in. That's a little bit weird.
That doesn't hurt. To be honest. No, that did not hurt at all. Like, I'm correcting myself harder than I would a dog.
Oh, yes, you're correcting yourself harder than I would, so.
Yeah, like, that doesn't bother me. And it's very, so because of this, one, it's not hurting my trachea.
Yeah.
Like, that's where a lot of people are like, oh my God, it damages tracheas. This trachea plate right here, I'm not feeling any pressure, not even from, like, these first prongs that are right here that are kind of, like, close to my trachea. Like, I'm not feeling any pressure along this side of my neck.
Can you drink water?
Can I drink? I have eggnog right here. All
right, drink something.
Don't quote me on this. I have eggnog, but yeah. I also have candy right here. Do you want to see if I can eat?
Yeah.
My little treats.
Are you inhibited in any way? Let's find out.
I don't feel inhibited at all, actually. Like I said, the only thing is, but we also move differently than a dog. Like, I can move this way. It does get tight this way, or like, but I don't really find a bunch of dogs doing this. Like, it's not
trying to find their bellies while they're walking.
The belly? But like, even pulling up, like, I mean, you can still, yeah, that's a little pressure there, but I can still talk pretty nicely pulling up on me.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, yeah, my voice changed a little bit, but I didn't get choked out. I could still breathe like that, honestly. I'm eating.
You saw it here, guys. All right. I have an e-collar on.
I wasn't prepared for that.
So I have an e-collar on. I have it up here. So it is on the muscly part of my neck, which is where I put it on dogs. It is not in the middle on either side, and it cannot move easily. It can move if I try really hard.
It's not supposed to, though.
But
like, same thing with this.
Well, yeah, like, no, it can move if I try really hard, but it's pretty in there. So this is more or less as close as we can get. I also don't have fur, so that's also a thing to put in.
Yeah, but, so your stimulation is probably going to be a lot more sensitive than
I did also already try this because I didn't want to just like put it on myself.
this was my first time trying. I didn't know what I was getting into.
Well,
I
I
was
did
like, all right,
already.
bet.
I tried it because I didn't want to be like, oh, like my e-collar doesn't work. I haven't used this e-collar in like a year. So, but I'm gonna just go up in levels and I will tell you where I feel it.
So tell everybody at what levels are you? Like each level.
Well, I don't want to do that because we don't have that much time. But I started to feel it about an 8.
Like,
so the 8, and I'm just gonna keep going. Doop, 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 doop. It feels kind of like I'm being flicked. If we're being really honest, like somebody's just like flicking me.
yeah.
Now, what I tell owners and like what I will tell all of you is that once you know your dog can feel it, which I know before you do because I know the motions, not you, Macey, but like people in general.
I knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, is once I know that your dog can feel it, I go down 1 or 2 because once your dog actually knows what that sensation is, so I started at an 8. If I go down to a 5, I can feel it because now I know what that sensation is. And now I'm looking for it. Now I'm looking for that sensation. Outside is usually about 5 more. So 6 plus 5 is 11.
Mm-hmm.
And that literally felt like I just got flicked. Just in case anybody wants to know, this thing really is on. I don't know if you can see the lights. Just give everybody a good light. Well, that's because the light's on the bottom.
Oh, yeah. Let's turn around. Turn around. Let me see.
All right. Well, you have to tell me how to go there.
I will. Oh, I see it. It did green. They should see it. There it goes. Yeah.
Just to prove to everybody this thing really is on and I am actually like doing it to myself.
If you press the button, does it blink when you press it?
Yeah, the light will light up.
Okay, let's try that.
All right. Let me know when I'm at the right place here.
Scoot. Oh, you should be good right there.
Right there?
All right, yes. Tell me when you press it.
You'll be able to see it. Check this out.
Ah.
So 11 would be my probably outside because I usually go about 5 over what their inside actual thing is. That's not true for every dog. Like
with
I said,
the way that you do your e-collar, do you have a working level and a correction level?
Sort of.
Okay.
Everything I'm saying is very general kind of terms. I literally am watching the dog constantly when I'm teaching e-collar, and I am adjusting pretty constantly to make sure it is as comfortable for them as possible.
Yeah, I do tell my clients, don't get stuck on the numbers. The numbers,
yeah,
it's just a level, but it really honestly means nothing in terms of dog training. Like,
it's real, and your dog can be in a different mood.
Yeah, it matters how your dog is feeling that day, as well as what is your dog learning? Is your dog more focused now because you used it first? That means you need to go down.
Yep.
We can have a whole conversation about e-collars one day. In general, and how we train differently.
Yep. So I've been going up as we've been talking. I would say the like most uncomfortable I've gotten so far is at a 20. And it definitely, because this is a TENS machine, it contracts the muscle in my neck and it feels weird. Like it's not a comfortable feeling.
Yeah.
But it's also like it's not painful. I can it makes the muscle in my neck contract, like watch. And like you can that's all of me just being like, ooh, that just happened.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Would you say in terms of like for the dog, if a dog was properly conditioned to a collar and they understood what this level meant, would they be scared of that?
No. I can say that knowing my dog. All of my dogs are e-collar trained.
Yeah.
And like Lucifer is like the most hard-headed dog in the world. And there have been times where I have been like, hey, like I need you to just like pay attention a little bit. The time I'm thinking of is when we were camping. It was the first time he'd ever seen like deer.
Oh gosh, I bet.
And I was like, hey, I just need you to like pay attention a little bit. It's cool. And he didn't even like no thought. He didn't even flinch. He literally he felt it, and I could tell he felt it. And he like looked back and he was like, okay, fine. I'll come to
Like,
you
okay,
now.
Mom.
Like, okay, because he knows what it means. Like, I
Yeah.
also know, because I've watched other dogs do it, there are dogs who can go all the way through up to 100 and push right through it.
Gotcha.
Like,
Yeah, I've
if
had
they
that
are
too.
not conditioned
Yeah.
correctly.
So on another term,
Yes.
if your husband were to give you a necklace,
Yeah.
and your body reacted that way, but you had no idea what it meant, would it scare you?
Absolutely.
That is why we do not just throw collars on dogs. People
Absolutely.
out there.
Absolutely. The other thing about that, and this is everybody's like whole thing, if I had this collar on and I also had somebody, you know, giving me chocolates, teaching me to do things, I would learn to do things faster because I have a yes and a no brain.
You're
And
not
I
playing hot
understand
and
that
cold.
that doesn't, well, and I understand that's not okay for everybody. I understand that not everybody wants that, the no. They want to be told yes, 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 and continue to try and continue to try and continue to try. That frustrates the crap out of me if I don't have somebody also being like, no, you're doing the wrong thing. And like, I'm getting pushed in a direction. So, but yeah, that was our demonstration of e-collars, prong collars. Yeah, hopefully this
I
turns
think we
out
should do another one day and go in detail about the other tools we use.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, and that's part of it. We definitely have to do it a bunch
Yeah, I
more
did not
episodes on
realize it
this.
was going to take this long to go through them.
Yes. Because they're so intricate and because we don't just throw them on dogs.
Yeah.
We are Bark Banter Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and you can follow me at Redemption Dog Training LLC on Instagram and Facebook. And Macey.
Yes.
Where can they follow you?
So you can follow me on Facebook at BossDog Canine Dog Training. We have a bunch of different things that we have going on there. You can even see or waitlist for my board and train program. So if you're out of state and you need a dog trained and you don't trust anybody but you want to use us, you can send your dog down here and I will train them for you and send them back and spend time with you and actually learning how to work with your dog, not just give you a trained dog and say have fun.
How does that work? Do they have to come to you to get lessons or do you fly to them?
Yes, so if they're out of state, they can pay for my travel fees, and if they're paying for the boarding and training, then they paid for my time already. And they do get 3 lessons, and I spend my time with them. They do have to pay for housing fees and whatnot too.
Okay.
But I'm pretty simple. Some decent Airbnbs, and I'll be good.
Put you up in a Motel 6.
Oh God. But yes, so I mean, there's that. You can also find us on Instagram at BossDogK9_dog training, as well as my website at BossDogK9.com.
Yay. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today for this wonderful display of training tools. I'm sure we will do another one. I would guess this one is going to get some feedback probably.
Oh, I can't wait.
And yeah, do you have a good sign off for us, Macey?
You know what, Skyler, what's your sign off for today?
I don't have a sign off. That's your job.
Sign it.
All right. Well, come back and we might shock you.
Oh, that was cute.